Right. I'll start the lecture from the last week because we have to continue the last week lecture, and I'll recap the last discussed area. Uh, Sorry, I forgot to upload lecture materials during the last week. Today I uploaded all the lecture materials. That's mean the last week lecture material and a new lecture material. Give me 1 second. I'll share my screen. Actually, today we have to start our discussion from the safety, right? So, before that, right? Can you remember in our last week lecture we discussed about this module, right? And we discussed about the construction industry and the development of the construction industry. I told you in current construction industry, we are constructing the world. People are constructing multi-story building within very limited hours, right? The highlighted word is very limited hours. In Sri Lanka, still we are not very familiar with those kind of technologies, but in the world, people are using different technologies to in the construction industry, right? So I can remember I shared some videos also with all the students to show you what are the very new technology that they're using, right? In that case, we discussed about the pre-construction technology also, right? After that, I discussed about the life cycle of a project in your level, in this module. And this normally when I'm doing a module related to the theoretical part, I'm connecting it with the life cycle of the project, right? So I discuss about the project life cycle first of all. Am I correct? I can remember all the students are following the project management project management diploma program, right? So for the project managers, this project life cycle is very important. When you're selecting materials, when you're taking the decisions in the project, this project management decision, that's project management, this project life cycle is very important. Actually, not only for the project managers, right? For all the professions, especially for the quantity surveyors also, because they are the one who taking the decision related to the cost and the quality, right? So that part is very important, especially there is a life cycle for a project. During the pre-construction stage, we have to do a lot of activities, we have to take a lot of approvals. That's the start of our project, right? So those are some project activities during the pre-construction stage related. And I told you about the BIM, right? For your level, we are not deeply going to discuss about BIM, but as a profession, as a future profession in the construction industry, you have to know about the BIM technology, because this is the very modern technology in the construction industry nowadays, right? In future, it will be different. In nowadays, it is that this is the most common, most developed technology, right? So anyway, that's about the BIM. Yes, I told you some benefits of using BIM. After that, I came to the new topic as tendering stage. I covered a lot of areas, but in our discussions, we have to do some areas with more detail. That I discussed about the tendering stage. I know still you don't know about before coming to the lecture. I know the tendering may be a new word to your maybe new word to you. Um, we discussed about what is the tendering stage mean, what are the benefits of the tendering stage, right? To select a more suitable subcontractor, to select a more suitable main contractor. So to, not only that, to select a material supply, a more suitable material supply also, we are following this tendering process, right? This is how we are taking projects from our clients. In company, there is a different department for the tendering works, right? Pre-construction, normally we are known as a tendering stage. In every company, there is a different department, different division for the tendering stage, tendering work. They're doing only the tendering works, right? So after awarding a project, only it's going to the construction, that's the division like the construction work related to any division, right? Actually, some professions are qualified only in the tendering stage, tendering related work. Not only some engineers, some especially some quantity surveys, they are specialized to the tendering works, right? Likewise, there are differences also there in the industry, right? So this is how we discussed in the last week lecture. Okay, after that, I finally I discussed about the stakeholders of a project. Can you remember I divided stakeholders into two different sections, as internal stakeholders and the external stakeholders. Under the internal stakeholders, right? Under the internal stakeholders, I told you internal stakeholders can influence the project very quickly. They can affect the project decisions very easily, right? Because they are in the internal category. The client, project manager, quantity surveyor, engineers, some subcontractors, specialized subcontractors, including the client, they all we can identify as the internal stakeholders. My next point was the external stakeholders. Right. So under the external stakeholder, I told you some the government issues are important to the project because of that government, some other authorities, some organizations, neighborhood, right? Those kind of things, those kind of people we can consider as external stakeholders. External stakeholders also can affect to the project success, right? They also can make some create some issues with the project progress, but it is not like the internal stakeholders, right? That is the difference between internal stakeholders and the external stakeholders. Right? These kind of questions, maybe in your exam paper also, right? Who are the stakeholders? What are the categories of the stakeholders? Some examples, and what are the responsibilities of those stakeholders? Those are very common questions, right? Right. Now I'm in the next topic as construction safety. Right. So this is not a good statement to give to share with students as from my side as a profession in the industry, right? Not a good thing to tell you, but we all know it is not a secret. Construction industry is a very hazardous place, right? So that's why I told you, as a profession in the industry, it is not suitable to share with my students, like that kind of statement, right? So, but I know, we all know it is not a secret. Construction industry is a hazardous place. The reason is, right, it is a hazardous place, but by using different acts, different things, the industry introduce different safety measures, safety things. But the thing is, in our construction industry, people are not following those safety related things correctly. Right? Construction industry එක කියලා කියන්නේ ගොඩාක් hazardous තියෙන area එකක් කියලා කියන එක හොඳ නැහැ. As a profession in the industry. හැබැයි ඒක secret එකක් නෙමෙයි, අපි හැමෝම දන්න දෙයක්. ඒ විදිහට වෙලා තියෙන්නේ, ඒ විදිහට consider කරන්න සිද්ධ වෙලා තියෙන්නේ අපි safety measures හරියට use කරන්නේ නැති නිසා. අපි හරියට safety එක පාවිච්චි කරන්නේ නැති නිසා. That's the reason for that. As the beginners in the construction industry, you should know about why this safety is important to the construction industry. Right? So, different type of accidents are happening can happen in the construction industry. Our laborers, not only for the laborers, not only for the workers, to the staff also. We have to work in very high levels. We have to work in edges. We have to work in external surfaces without any supporting, with the ground, right? With electricity, with fire, right? A lot of things are there. You all know I don't know, I think you have no experience in the industry. There is a different category as riggers in labors. Labor category එකක් තියෙනවා riggers කියලා. Right? Skilled labor, unskilled labor, the riggers. Like that. So riggers are specialized to work on the outside of the building. Right? That means they have to work on the scaffoldings. Sometimes they have to work in that's ropes. Ropes වල එලිලා වැඩ කරන අයද කියලා ඇති. Right? Scaffolding දුදම. Right? External surface වල ගොඩාක් scaffoldings ගන්නවා. ගොඩාක් high levels වල වැඩ කරන අය දැකලා ඇති. Their life in a very risk. Right, so they have sometimes enough experiences with the training to work on that kind of places. So we are knowing them as a riggers. Their rate also different. Imagine then rates imagine for one labor rate for 1 day is 2,000. Labor rate is high. Right, for example, for skilled labor, likewise there are different rates for all the labor categories. Imagine for the labor rate is 2,000, but for the riggers we are paying 2,500. Likewise, different amount. Because they are doing a very risky job. Right? They have to use different kind of safety things. But the thing is, their job is in a very risk. They are working in very high levels. They have to work on scaffolding in different places. So those are the things. So anyway, but the Accidents Prevention Safety Training must be implemented and maintained. Occupational Health and Safety Act initiated regulations of safety standards for construction industry here. This act introduce different kind of safety things into the construction industry. Under the construction safety, preparation of risk assessment also important. I think in this module we have to discuss about that part in future, I think. So normally in our construction, I will tell you the history for this safety. Right. So after that, I will show you some reasons to follow safety measures. Right. So now you all know about the construction industry project life cycle, right? This project life cycle is very, very important for the whole project decisions, right? Now imagine when I'm discussing the safety part also, I'm taking some examples from the project life cycle because it is important, right? Anyway, now you all know about the project life cycle at the initial stage of a project, right? So imagine now I'm going to construct a 50-story shopping complex building. Shopping complex. It is a building of 50 story, right? So before starting the construction activities, you should know about the risk in your project. You should know about the risk in your project under the health and safety. When people are working on the high levels, right, the materials come down from the high levels. It can create some damages. The people also can falling down. Material also can falling down. Right, when we are working on the edges, that kind of issues are there. Likewise, all the safety related issues you should identify during the pre-construction stage. Accidents, what are the activities that can be happen? Everything you should identify during the pre-construction stage. After that, later on, in the same time, during the pre-construction stage, you have to identify some mitigating methods for those issues. After, imagine I identified people can falling down from the edges of the building. I identified it at the beginning of my project. That means before starting the construction activities, I identified, yes, people can falling down from the edges of the building. So is it enough? Identification is enough? No, that is not enough. After identified issues in the project, or that's the risk in the project, you have to come up with some mitigating methods. So I identified people can falling down from the edges of the building. Then what can I do? During the construction stage, I can fix some railings around the building. That means especially near to the edges of the building. Some railings for high current building edges. It's supporting me to avoid or to mitigate that risk in my project. Not only that, during pre-construction stage, you have to identify all the risk in your project and the mitigating methods for those kind of things. That's normally with this document we are knowing as risk assessment. Mitigating method, what is the risk description, if it is happened to the project, what will happen in future. Likewise, everything you have to mention in your project, in your risk assessment. Right? If anyone falling down from the project building and if it's affected to that person's life, right? Sometimes we have to close the project 100% for some period of time. Life damage according to the regulations, project until doing the investigations. Until completing the investigation, we have to stop the project. Right? From one side, it is affect to the person's life. From another side, it is affecting to all progress of the project. Right? It's a different thing, and it is not a good thing. And another side, it is affecting to the project progress. Right? We are working with timelines. We are working with some plans, targets. We can't achieve those targets if that is happened like that. Right? When they happen like that, we can't work with the pre-agreed time schedules. So because of those reasons, the site safety is very, very important. I can remember in one of my sites, right? Normally under the site safety, the cleaning is very important. Every day people should clean the floors, right? After, imagine people are working around 5 p.m., 6 p.m. So that's mean around before end of the day, before end their work, they should clean their floors. Sometimes we are using different GANs for site cleaning. Site cleaning different GANs right? In my site, I'm not telling the name of that site. It was a big project. That project manager is not properly followed site cleaning and site safety. Right? It is a one project with a very leading company in Sri Lanka. Site safety site cleaning focus project team including the project manager. Actually, the project manager and the site safety officer is responsible for that kind of things. Right? There were some voids in the slab. Right? Voids in slab open spaces slab. Right? If there is any void in the slab, definitely we have to cover it with some rail or something like that. Because when we are walking in the slab, we can't click. Sometimes within very short time period, we can't click. Okay, if it is void like that, then the void right? So because of that, we have to cover it. Right? In that side, people not covered that kind of voids very correctly, perfectly. Voids are covered. Only they put a plywood sheet on the top of the void. Void plywood sheet. Right? When people are working in that area, plywood sheet okay, plywood sheet void right? We can identify is it void or not. Right? If there is a plywood sheet on the top of the void, we can see, right? People walk on it, walk through it. person කෙනෙක් labourer කෙනෙක් ඒ void එකෙන් බිමට වැටුණා. Right, that person එයාගේ ගොඩක් යාට damage වුණා. Right, the reason was life damage එකක් වුණා. හැබැයි ගොඩක් damage වුණා. void එකකින් තට්ටු දෙකක් පහළට වැටුණා. The reason එක තමයි හරියට cover කරලා තිබුණේ නැහැ void එක. Right, හරියට safety measures use කරා නම් ඒ void එක ඒ විදිහට cover වෙන්නේ නැහැ. Definitely we have to use some rails and other things to cover that void perfectly. Right, but in that side they have not covered it. So it's affected to one person's life. Right, that person I can remember is something not little bit ගොඩක් young කෙනෙක් නෙමෙයි. one ටිකක් වයසක කෙනෙක් labourer කෙනෙක්. So and එයා ගොඩක් හෙට්ටුයි. ඉතින් අර void එකෙන් එයාව පොඩ්ඩක්වත් හිර වෙන්නේ නැති void එකෙන් තට්ටු දෙකක් පහළට වැටුණා. Right, it's not a very big void though. This is something little bit not a big one. ගොඩක් ලොකු void එකක් නෙමෙයි. if I'm correct it is something void in the to the washroom drains වලට තිබ්බ void එකක් මට මතක හිටියා. I can remember it perfectly. කොහොම හරි ආව ඉතින් වැටලා ලොකු life damage එකක් වුණා. එයාගේ physical damages ගොඩක් වුණා. Right, so not only that, very commonly those kind of things are happening in the construction industry. Not only for the laborers, for the staff also those are affected. The reason is we are not using the safety measures, the safety things correctly. Right, as a professions in the industry, actually now you all are not going to be a project managers in the near future. Right, so these things are very important for the project managers. In our project there is a different person as a safety officer. Right, that person is qualified from the safety things and other things, they know about more than us. Right, that person that's been, imagine there is a in our project, in a project there is an engineer, there is a quantity survey, there is a project manager, there is a supervisor. As the same like that there is a safety officer also. Safety officer කෙනෙකුත් project එකකට ඉන්නවා. Right, that person is should responsible for all the safety things. Right, you or දැකලා තියෙන buildings වල safety net එකක් ගහලා තියෙනවා. There is a green color nets around the building. It also something for the safety. It's avoiding, it's mitigating material falling down to the neighborhood. Sometimes the people who working in the ground levels. Right, so the safety net, so the net also some safety thing. Right, so that safety officer, actually the safety officer කියලා කෙනෙක් හැම project එකකම ඉන්නවා. Right, that person is responsible for the safety things in our site. In everyday morning before starting works in the site, right, that safety officer should take a meeting with the laborers and the workers. උදේ වැඩ පටන් ගන්න කලින් safety officer meeting එකක් ගන්නවා වැඩ කරන අයත් එක්ක. Right, that's the way how we are starting our project in the morning. It's like assembly. Right, in our school days also we are participating for the assembly. It's like that. In every morning they should come, all the people should come to that meeting. Right, the safety officer is handling that meeting. Right, and he announcing some safety things in the building. Again, introducing some telling to the people, please use safe as they telling some important things during the meeting time before starting the activities of the project. Not only that, the safety officer sometimes take in pocket meetings also. During the daytime, they take in some pocket meetings with the workers. Right, like sometimes for the riggers, I told you who is the rigger. Riggers like කියන්නේ උඩ තැන්වල වැඩ කරන ගොඩක් risky job එකක් කරන. Right, they tell you before coming to that work place, make sure to tie your belts, make sure to tie your helmets. Likewise, they're giving some instructions. Right, and not only that, you all know about, I think, scaffolding. Scaffolding කියන එක දැකලා ඇති පලංචි කියලා අපි සිංහලෙන් කියන්නේ. Right, so when we are working on scaffolding, or when the staff working on the scaffolding, safety officer should check all the locks in the scaffolding in every day, sometime some period of time. Again, some hours ගානක් ඇතුළත තියෙනවා. Scaffolding එක උඩ ගොඩාක් scaffolding fix කරනවා දැකලා තියෙන්නේ. එහෙම තියෙනකොට ඒ locks හරියට වැටිලාද කියලා බලන එක safety officer ගේ responsibility එකක්. Sometimes there is a book also near to that locks. Right, සමහරක් වෙලාවට උදේම ගිහලා safety officer ඒ locks ඔක්කොම check කරලා sign කරන්න ඕනේ. Sometimes after the lunch also, likewise they have different time slots. So anyway, the safety officer is responsible for that. You go and check the locks. Right. Right. So different things are there under the safety. I will show you there are some videos with me to share and to show you what are the things that can happen in the very short videos, right? In the construction industry related to the safety and how we can mitigate those things. All right, before this, I will tell you what is PPE. In construction industry, there is a word as PPE. Right, the first PPE means personal protective equipment. Before entering to a site, you should wear PPE. In Sri Lanka also, we are following these concepts, right? PPE, personal protective equipment. What are these PPE means? PPE, as I told you, personal protective equipment. So you know, in the construction industry, in our construction site, you normally all දැකලා ඇති හැමදේසෙම අපේ workers ලා staff එක they should wear a safety helmet with different colors. This color code is depend on your job category. Normally, staff members should wear white color hats, right? So blue color, likewise, different categories are there. Normally, we are for the professions, we are in the white color hat, the yellow color for the labels, right? The blue color for the electricity related things, likewise, different colors are there. Right, so safety helmet is one of the PPE item. After that, safety jacket, also important thing, right? It's in the luminous colors. Or then colors in the safety jacket, right? The staff normally we are in the green color one with some illuminated some tags with that's like ash color, right? Colors, staff in the green color one. That's mean green means a different color. I don't know how to identify it. Like it's like a green color one. So anyway, when you're working in the night time, especially, right? Imagine you're working in a very dark place. Because of that jacket, the people can identify you. That means there is a person that working in that area, right? Without light facilities, without the light also, we can identify the people, the person who are working in that area, right? So safety helmet, safety jacket, and the safety boots, right? We all know we should wear safety boots before entering to the site. It's not like our deck shoes or it's not like our shoes. It's a different thing, right? So that means there is some cover, steel cover in front of the shoe. Damage steel cover shoe, right? Those are very. There are some different qualities also. Normally for safety shoe, it's something expensive. Not you can't buy with a very low cost. There are some qualities also, but it is very expensive, right? The safety shoe, safety jacket, safety helmet, right? Those are the main PPE items. Not only that, you have to wear a mask when you're working in the dusty areas, right? Some eye protections, ear protections. Those things also we have to consider. We can consider as a PPE. In Sri Lanka also, I think your university will conduct some site visits with all the students. So normally, before entering to the site, they will provide you some PPE. Normally, they should provide site helmets, safety jackets, safety boots. Definitely, they should provide. It's a rule, right? I also work in the industry. So normally, normally the professions are working in the site office. No, it's located in the same land, right? Normally professions are in the site office setting, right? When we are coming out from the site office, definitely we should wear safety jacket, safety helmet, safety boots. Site office again. Definitely we have to wear all this jacket, helmet, boots with office again. Right? Otherwise, you can't visit the site. It's a rule, not only for the visitors. It is similar to all the people in the site. For the workers also. Workers can't work in the site without wearing PPE. We are providing PPE to the workers and to everyone and to the staff also. Right? All the PPE, we should return it. Everything we should return to the site again. Right? So this PPE is supporting you to avoid, save your life actually. Safety helmet is not something different like the normal helmet. There is a safety belt. There are some safety belts inside of the hat, right? If there is falling down from the upper level to your head level, right? Helmet එක පුපුරලා ගියාට ඔළුවට මුකුත් දෙන්නේ නැති විදිහට තමයි හදලා තියෙන්නේ. මොනවා හරි ඔළුවට වැටුනොත් අනිවාර්යෙන් helmet එක පුපුරනවා. helmet එක කැඩෙනවා. හැබැයි ඔළුවට මුකුත් වෙන්නේ නැහැ. ඒ විදිහට තමයි අපේ safety helmets හදලා තියෙන්නේ. Right? Safety boots also like that. මොකක් කකුල උඩින් ගියත් කකුලට damage එකක් වෙන්නේ නැහැ. Right? There's a different weight also for the safety shoes. ටිකක් බරයි safety shoe කියන එක. Because there is some steel cover. I'll show you something about first I will show you about the PPE. Give me 1 second. I will share my screen.
Personal protective equipment, or PPE, is important for every construction worker. Every worker on the job site should have and use the appropriate PPE. It minimizes exposure to a variety of hazards while working on the job site, such as protecting against sharp edges, falling objects, flying sparks, and chemical splashes. PPE that is typically used on construction job sites includes your hard hat, safety glasses and face shields, gloves, work boots, earplugs and muffs, and respirators. Hard hats protect you from falling or flying objects, and some are rated to protect against accidental head contact with electrical hazards. You should put it on from the moment you set foot on the job site until the time you walk off. And make sure you check the hat's ratings to ensure it's the right hard hat for the tasks at hand. It should be worn with the visor, the bill, and front, according to manufacturer specifications. Hard hats are made up of two basic parts, the shell and the suspension. The shell protects you from the impact, while the suspension serves as a shock absorber, and both are necessary to provide full protection. Hard hats must meet ANSI standard Z89.1. The suspension has a headband that's adjustable for a comfortable fit. Adjust your hard hat using the clip or the ratchet. Keep your hard hat in good condition. Don't drill it, paint it, or try to clean it with solvents. Routinely inspect your hard hat to make sure it's in
It is
good
not like a normal hat, right? Inside of the hat also there are some bells, right? It's supporting you to protect your head. They will tell
condition,
you.
checking for dents, crack, or deterioration.
මේ තියෙන belt එක තමයි ඇත්තටම head එකට fix වෙන්නේ, not the hat cover, right? This belt is going to fix it your head, not the plastic cover. That's how we can protect our head from bipolar down from different accidents, right?
Hard hat to make sure it's in good condition, checking for dents, cracks, or deterioration. The hard hat suspension needs to be replaced yearly, per most manufacturers, and the shell replaced every 5 years if it never fails at inspection. Harsh chemicals and extreme temperatures can make a hard hat degrade more quickly and must be replaced more frequently. If the hard hat has taken a blow or electrical shock, it must be replaced immediately. Being able to see workers is important for safety. This is especially true for workers working around vehicles or mobile equipment. In an effort to prevent accidents from struck by hazards, workers should wear high visibility garments that help alert vehicle operators of their presence, especially in low light environments. It's a good rule of thumb to wear a high visibility safety vest at all times when on the job site, no matter what the task. Eye protection and face protection should be chosen based on what tasks are being performed and have such as impact from flying objects, chemical splashes, harmful dust, or radiation from welding. You must wear impact-resistant safety glasses anytime you could be exposed to flying material, even if you are not working directly with that material. All eye and face protection must meet ANSI standard Z87.1. Goggles should shield the eyes against flying fragments, paint, or chemical splashes and spray particles. Keep in mind that some goggles aren't made to take impacts. Face shields protect the entire face against exposure to impact hazards, flying objects, wood chips, and chemical splashes. Always check the shield impact ratings to make sure it can withstand impact hazards. Foot injuries like nail punctures, twisted ankles, and crush injuries are common in construction. PPE for your feet can lessen or sometimes prevent these injuries. On the construction site, you should wear shoes or boots with slip-resistant and puncture-resistant soles, and safety-toed or steel-toed footwear to protect toes from falling objects and crushing injuries. Safety footwear must meet ANSI Z41 or ASTM standards. Tennis shoes are not acceptable footwear on the job site. In construction, you may also be exposed to many tasks that require hand protection from sharp or rough objects, chemicals, electricity, and flames. Wear the right gloves for the task at hand and make sure they fit properly. The most common gloves worn on the job site include knit gloves with a rubber palm to provide basic protection from minor cuts or abrasions, chemical-resistant gloves when working with wet concrete, mortar, adhesives, or solvents, welding gloves made of leather for use around heat and flame, and rubber insulating gloves and sleeves when exposed to electrical hazards. Some jobs on the worksite are loud and may require hearing protection to reduce the amount of noise that gets through and from hearing loss. You should use earplugs or ear muffs when using tools like drills, powdered actuated tools, pneumatic nailers, grinders, and other heavy, loud equipment. The noise reduction rating, or NRR, is used to determine the effectiveness of hearing protection. The higher the noise reduction rating, the more reduction in sound exposure. When using earplugs, always make sure to follow the manufacturer's directions on how to properly wear them. On the job site, there are some common materials like paints, lacquers, insulations, sealants, and dusts that can harm you if inhaled. This is one of the most common ways chemicals can enter the body. When used, respirators can remove contaminants from the air. The most important steps in using any kind of respirator is to ensure a proper fit to protect yourself from harmful dusts, mists, gases, vapors, and sprays getting into your respiratory system. Using the right PPE is one of the most important safety tips to prevent serious injuries when working on the job site. So be smart and be safe.
Right. And I'll show you some accidents, very common accidents in our projects. Give me some time, I will share it quickly. Right, but you can avoid, you can see, you can avoid this by using the safety helmet. Are really happening in our sites, right? Those are the accidents, those are the issues. That's why I told you people can falling down from the reason was the unclean site area. මේවා හරියට clean කරලා තිබ්බනම් මේ වගේ දේවල් වෙන්නේ නැහැ. That's why site cleaning is much more important.
Excavation works. Protection from underground utilities. We all know that several utilities may be present underground, such as electric cables, water pipelines, gas pipeline, sewage pipeline, other communication cables, sewage pipeline, other communication cables. These utilities may get damaged or cause harm to us if not properly identified and isolated. Before starting any excavation, your supervisor will take a work permit for necessary areas that are to be excavated. This will ascertain the presence of underground utilities, and if they are present, then such utilities are properly isolated. This permit is given by the section in charge, and it is a clearance to start excavation and the corresponding safety precautions to be taken. Based on the work permit, your supervisor will instruct you take one or more of the following precautions depending on site conditions. Locating underground utilities using markers and drawings. Locating utilities using advanced equipments such as cable avoidance tool. Making trial pits to check the presence of utilities, etc. Isolating the services. Your job is to follow the instructions of the supervisor carefully while doing excavation. Do not forget to use insulated tools and tackles during excavation to prevent accidental contact with power lines. Still, if you come across any symptoms of presence of utilities, immediately stop the work and report to your supervisor. Approximately 60% of all deaths show that approximately 60% of all deaths from falls occur from heights less than 5 meters. Working at heights has been performed for centuries. In the 1920s, it was seen as an inherent risk. Falls were viewed as unfortunate. Today, it is unacceptable to work at heights without
so
being.
When we are working in heights, we have to wear this kind of safety belt. You can see there is a safety belt. Right, මේ බෙල්ට් එක උඩ තියෙන මොකක් හරි සපෝටින් එකකට සපෝට් කරලා තියෙන හරියටම. හදිස්සියවත් වැටුනොත් එයාව එකෙන් එල්ලිලා හිටිනවා බිමට වැටෙන්නේ නැහැ. Right, so there are some safety belts also to wear before starting your works in high levels.
Protected. Studies on falls show that 60% of all fatalities occur from heights of less than 5 meters. At heights under 4 meters, people have less time to react. As a general guide, the position you are in at the time you fall will be the position you land in. That is, a forward position can result in landing on your head. Fall from height. Influences on injury. Height. 1 meter versus 10 meters. Position. Head versus feet. Impact. Concrete. Send. Types of fall prevention. Elevated work platforms, scaffolds fitted with handrails. Fabricated work platforms fitted with handrails. Ladders, portable
These are the
and fixed.
mitigating methods to follow, right?
Man cages, scaffolds. What is fall protection? It's a device or combination of devices used to arrest a person during a fall.
Safety harness.
Devices or equipment that can stop a fall in progress.
Let's say
Types of fall protection. Fall arrest system, less than 4 meters. Safety harness, lanyard. Anchor point. Fall arrest system, more than 4 meters. Safety harness. Lanyard with shock absorber. Retractable reel. Anchor point. Safety net. The use of a physical barrier or barriers which prevent people
Can you
from
remember in
falling.
my example also I told the same thing, right? Here this is a void. Make them a void as here, right? If you not covered it well, people can fall in down with the same.
The use of a physical barrier or barriers which prevent people from falling. Prevents a person from being exposed to an open edge.
Here for all the edges, all edges of your building should cover like this. It's supporting you to avoid falling down of the people and the material both.
Hence,
Actually.
prevents them from falling. Confined space. A confined space is an enclosed or partially enclosed space that is at atmospheric pressure during occupancy.
Very deep levels. Sometimes actually this is something related to this kind of thing. Normally in our work we have to work with laborers in deep excavation under the deep excavations. Right? When you're working with deep excavation, we have to use different kind of safety things, right?
And is not intended or designed primarily as a place of work, and is liable at any time to have an atmosphere which contains potentially harmful levels of contaminant, have an oxygen deficiency or excess, cause engulfment, could have restricted means for entry and exit. Once a location is deemed to be a confined space, it must be marked with a permanent sign on the outside. This sign must as a minimum advise that the space is a confined space, that no entry is permitted without an authorized confined space permit. Confined space warning signs should be provided in a language consistent with the language spoken by workers at that worksite. Definitions of confined space entry. Once a person has their whole body, upper body, or even in their head in the confined space, they are considered to have entered the confined space. A permit is required prior to entry.
I'm sharing these videos because I know it is very clear. That's the reason, right?
Personal protective equipment,
With
PPE.
Slides.
Use of personal protective equipments, PPEs, to reduce the employee exposure to the hazards when engineering and administrative controls are not feasible or effective in reducing these exposures to acceptable levels. Mandatory PPE, safety helmet, hard hat, to protect workers against impact and penetration of falling, flying, and stationary objects. Safety shoe. Workers performing tasks which potentially expose them to extreme foot injury hazards, such as operating a ground temper or chipping concrete with a jackhammer, shall wear metal foot protectors. Safety goggles. To prevent employee eye exposure by requiring all workers and projects to enforce eye protection use. Impact-resistant safety glasses with side shields. Prescription lens safety glasses with side shields. Vented safety goggles. Non-vented safety goggles. Task-specific PPEs. Hearing protection. Many construction and manufacturing activities are overexposed to noise. In time, overexposure can damage your hearing. Hearing loss prevents you from hearing other hazards on the job.
Alright, that's enough. I think now it's very clear. Now you can understand why I'm telling like this, why I'm telling this construction industry is a very hazardous area and how you can mitigate those things, right? So a lot of videos and supporting documents are available in the internet, right? Normally, I know you all are not very happy to read a lot of things, right? Normally, right? So, these simple things. So, because of that, videos also available in the YouTube, right? Try to find those kind of videos and follow those things, because I know you all are very freshers to the industry. You have no enough experience, pre-experience about the construction industry. Freshers industry, because of that you have to know about those things before entering into the construction industry, right? So those kind of videos will support you to identify those kind of issues and how to mitigate those type of things. Likewise, you can cover and you can learn about risk in the construction industry. All right. All right. Actually, I covered that safety part in my discussion. Now I want to go with a new topic. All right. Right. Now I'm going to discuss about the project delivery methods. In construction industry, there are some, this is one area, important area. This project delivery method, this topic will continue in your higher studies as when you're doing the degree, when you're doing the master's also. This project delivery method, the topic is important. I think this may be the start for your project to learn about the project delivery methods, right? But it will continue in future also, right? The theory is same. Actually, when you're working in the industry also, this project delivery method is important. Sometimes I'm working with undergraduates also. When you're doing the degree, you have to find a topic, research topic. You have to develop a research, right? Most of the time, I'm not telling all the students, right? Some students are selecting topics also related to the project delivery methods, right? Because this is a very important area in the construction industry, right? So we'll start this topic, the project delivery methods. Project delivery methods of construction industry. The project delivery method defines the relationship between parties involved, typically an owner, designer, and contractor, and when and how they will fulfill their obligations and responsibilities. Ensuring that the process is clearly defined before construction begins can curtail potential misunderstandings and sense, helping the project progress more smoothly. Actually, this is the project delivery methods. By studying this part, we can learn about how the owner, designer, contractor are joining with the project. That's a simple idea, right? Owner, designer, contractor, how going to join with the project, right? Step by step, you can learn about it. As a hint, I will give you at the beginning. In some projects, contractors are not joining with the design team, right? Contractor designer join in some project. In some projects, the same contractor is doing the design part and the construction part both. Some companies are doing design part and the construction part both. There are some companies, they are doing only the design part. There are some companies, they're doing only the construction part, right? Likewise, there are some differences in our projects. There are many differences. So in this project delivery method, we are going to learn about how client is going to join with the project, how designers are going to join with the project, and the contractors are going to join with the project, right? This is the area what we are going to cover under this section, right? In the construction industry, there are many project delivery methods. Within the word also, you can learn about it. Project delivery method. Project deliver here, right? Now you know the total background of a project, right? In the construction industry, there are many project delivery methods. For example, I can say These are some examples: design build project delivery method (DB), design bid build, construction management at risk, a guide to construction project management method, job order contracting, construction management multiply, integrated project delivery. Those are some examples for project delivery method. In this exercise, in this part, we have to study, we have to learn one by one. This is actually what we are going to do under this topic, right? So before coming to my discussion, I'm going to take a small break. After that, I will continue this discussion because it needs some time to complete, right? So I'll continue my discussion after the break. Right, okay, I'll start my discussion. So, before the break, I told you we are going to discuss about project delivery method, and I told you there are some examples. I mentioned some examples for project delivery methods, right? This is a very important part, right? There are some questions also can create based on this. The first one, design build. Design build ODB simplifies the project for owners who are only contracted with a single firm in this method. Once contract covers both the design and the construction phases, the project usually progresses as an integrated process with the two phases overlapping. The design build means, right, design part and the construction part both going to do it by the same company. Right? Design එකයි construction එකයි දෙකම කරන්නේ දැන් එකම company එක. You are going to sign one contract with both company for both works. Right? That's the design build. There are many advantages and disadvantages in there. Advantages are simplifies the entire process under the single agreement. You are going to work under the same agreement. Right? Cost efficiency. So you are not going to do separate two agreements, and it can support you to increase the to reduce the sunk cost. This system speeds overlapping everything up and designate as a single leader. Project can be fast tracked for a quick completion. Now I will discuss this part again. Can you remember when I'm discussing about the project life cycle? I told you first you have to complete the design part. Later on, after that only you can start the construction activities. In here, actually, now imagine construction part and the design part both going to do by the same company. Imagine you want to start imagine I want to I want to construct my house, right? So I want it very quickly within 6 months of time period. I want to complete my house construction activities. Still, I'm in the initial stage of my project, right? I found a person, a contractor, and I told all my requirements with that person, right? Imagine if I want to wait until completing the design part to start the construction activities, definitely I can't complete it within 6 months, right? මට උනොත් design part එක ඉවර වෙනකම්ම construction part එක කරන්න නැතුව ඉන්න. ඒ කියන්නේ design එක 100% complete වෙනකම් I am not going to start the construction activities, right? For design approval, for the design finalization, it's taking some time. But according to my requirement, I select a contractor. Imagine like this. Imagine I selected a person only for the design part. That person should do the design part. After completing the design 100%, I want to connect with another person to the construction activities. Right? If I follow that path, definitely I know I can't complete my project on time. Samane design complete karagana, it's taking some time, right? To 100% complete design, it's taking some time, right? So because of that, it is very difficult for me to complete my project on time. Imagine if I found a person, a company, that company is doing the design part and the construction part both. Right? Now they started my design part. They have completed the foundation, design, and other things are completed. Still, they started the design part for the design, finishing work. Tama finishing design but structural right. With the supporting of structural design, the structural plan, definitely I can start my construction activity. It is not required to wait until finalize the design 100% with all the requirements. Or common requirements project design part. The construction is the same company. I will complete construction. We will start the construction activities. If there is a small change to do, we will inform it to the design team and we will adjust it because both areas are handling by the same company. This is the design and build. And this is by using this design and build procurement method actually, you can complete your project little bit quickly. The reason is UC is not required to wait until finalize the design part. Without design finalization, you can start your work. Right? Another thing, think about that. I think this word may be very new to you, the variation. In the construction industry, there is a word as variation, right? Variation, don't think about very deeply what is this variation, right? Okay, I'll tell like this. Normally, after we started, okay, don't think about the variation word, right? I'll tell you like this. Imagine, now I started my construction activities, right? So during some period, now they have started the foundation and whole construction. Likewise, they started my work. So I want to do a small change to my ground floor. Previously, I informed them to design 2 bedrooms in my ground floor area. right? But now I want to change it. Previously I told them 2 bedrooms, right? Now I want 3 bedrooms, right? Now I'm informed them, please change the design. Now I need 3 bedrooms. Please change it and construct for the 3 bedrooms, right? First of all, you have to do the design for the 3 bedrooms, right? You have to do some adjustment for the previous design, and you have to include another bedroom to the house. Based on that contract, we have to do the construction activities. Imagine like this: my design part completed by a different person, and my construction part going to doing by a different person. Design එක කරන්නේ different company එකක්, ආයි construction එක කරන්නේ different company එකක්. Imagine like that, right? Now I want to do a small change to my house. First of all, I have to contact again my design team. Company දෙකක් නම් කරන්නේ design එක 100% complete වෙනකම් construction එක පටන් ගන්න නැහැ, right? දැන් මම construction එක යන අතරතුරේ තමයි මම මෙහෙම design change එකකට එන්නේ. Now, first of all, I want to contact my design team. And I'm telling them I want to do a small change. I need 3 bedrooms to my ground floor. Please complete that drawing and please send me. Right? I have to request for them. Not only that, sometimes I have to pay again for them, for the design change. Right? So they will take some time. They will do the design and they will submit a design drawing to the client. They are submitting it. Right? And then with the design changes, that client again should contact the contractor and should submit that received drawing to the contractor. Right? දැන් අර කෙනකන් contractor වලට අවුත්තර බලාගෙන හිටිය design එක ගෙනකම්. So I have to submit it to the contractor and I'll tell him, okay, this is the change of the design and please construct my house based on this. Right? So for this process, definitely it is taking some period of time. Normally it's taken because I have to contact 2 different persons, right? 2 different companies, right? There is no any interconnection between design team and the construction team. Right? But if I follow this design bid-build method, right? That's mean design part and the construction part both doing by the same company. Now I want to do a small design change. I'm directly contacted my person, right? He's responsible for the design and construction both. That's maybe a project manager, and I'm telling about my design change. Right? It is not required to wait until receiving the drawing or something like that. He's informing it to the design team. They will complete and internally they will share their documents and they will do the design change. එකම කෙනාගේ යටතේ ඉන්න අය තමයි ඩිසයින් එක කරන්නේ, කන්ස්ට්‍රක්ෂන් එක කරන්නේ. ඒතකොට ඒගොල්ලෝ අතරම ඉන්ටර්නලි ඩිස්කස් කරලා චේන්ජ් එක කරගන්න පුළුවන්. That's how we can save the time. Right? So those are the advantages in design bid method. As same, there are some disadvantages also. If I ask what are the disadvantages, first thing is, now think about if we follow this procurement method, we have to work with one person. For the design and construction, both parties handling by the one person, one single contract, right? So sometimes it's creating some issues because imagine now I wanted to include a new room, no? Right? Imagine my design team is telling it is not suitable to add at this moment. It is there is no enough space to add another bedroom. Likewise, they will tell, right? There is no any person, different person for me to take advices. Because of that, I have to follow that contractor's decision, that company decision. If I work with 2 different companies for the design and the construction, there are 2 different owners, 2 different leaders, right? Now imagine the designer is informing me there is no enough space to do the design change. So I'm informing it to the contractor also. Contractor come in and say, why you are telling like that? There is enough space to do the design change. Please change it according to the client requirement. Likewise, they can argue because they are working on 2 different companies. But in the design bid build procurement method, one of the disadvantages, we are working with one person, one company. So most of the time, client have to obey to their rules. Client should obey with their rules. So important to select a qualified design bid builder, as this individual carries so much responsibilities. And another thing is to find a design bid contractor, qualified contractor, may be difficult. Right? It's also one of the disadvantages. Owner must control the design details to the design builder and the team. Often an unfamiliar delivery method, meaning owner must mentally adjust. That's what I told you. Right? There is one company, so owner can mentally adjust with that contractor's decision. This is about the design bid procurement method. Keep in your mind, design bid fields, design and construction, both things are doing by the same company. Right? Both things are going to do by the same company. And it's creating some disadvantages with the client because we have to work with same person, because client should work with the same person. Under the advantages, we can say it is little bit quick than some other procurement method because it is not required to wait until receiving the that designer approval to start the work. Right? Those are the advantages and disadvantages in this process. Right. I'm going with the second part. Design bid build. The most popular delivery method in US is the design bid build. To the extent that you will often see this referred to as the traditional method. Most of the time we are using this word, the traditional procurement method. Right? So design bid build method, the same name, right? The same thing. Traditional method කියලා කියන්නේ මේකටම තමයි. As a first step in the DBB, the owner select an architect to design the construction project. The team then gather the construction bids and select the general contractor from among the bidders. Right? The same thing what I explained in my previous slide. Design bid build means there are two different organizations. First organization for the design part, second organization for the construction part. Right? First you have to contact a design team and you have to complete your design. After that, you have to select the most suitable contractor to your project. In that case, as I told you in my last lecture, in this case, to select the most suitable contractor to the project, we can follow the tendering process. By following a tendering process, we are selecting most suitable contractor to the project. Anyway, in this DBB method, we have to work with two different organizations. The DBB method requires two contracts in the design and planning process. One to cover design and other for construction. Right? So we are working with two different contracts. So client should work with two different contracts. Responsibilities are divided between the three main parties, with the contractor ensuring the project proceeds according to the design defining and enforcing professional standards, OKR, and the owner carried any differences between specification and performance requirements. In this procurement method, right, normally we are using the word procurement also, right? In this procurement method, we have to work with actually three persons. The first one is the design owner, second one is the main contractor, third one is the client. And there are three main bodies are there in this section. In previous one, there were only two main bodies: owner, company owner, and the client. In here, it is divided between three persons, right? In this method also, there are some advantages and disadvantages. As an advantage, I can say, well known, familiar to the most construction professionals. Often has the lowest appoint closed. Alright. So another thing is, as an advantage, I can say now, after completing the design work, right, you are selecting another person to the construction activities. And you are going to follow the tendering process. Right? By following actually tendering process means there are many options, there are many contractors, but between those them, you are going to select the most suitable person to the project. Right? In this case, actually, when you're selecting the most suitable contractor, you can select most talented person to the project, most pre-qualified person to the project. At the same time, it is supporting to reduce the cost also. That means in some cases, that means when you're selecting a person to the project, definitely you're selecting some lower cost project with some reasonable cost. Right? That means you can reduce your project cost also by following this process. In the previous example, in my previous project delivery method, right, in this one, there is no option. Right? You have no option. You have to work with one person. No options are there. Right? That means definitely you have to agree with the contractor's project budget. Right? Project cost. Contractor, I need in this first one, right? I'm doing the first one. If they finalize, like, I need 20 million to complete this project, right? So no any adjustment, you have to go with the 20 million, right? In the second one, you're going to select the contractor after completing the design by following the tendering process. So you can compare other contractors' cost and you can select more suitable contractor from the price also. It also one of the advantage under this category. These are important, right? I can remember in last exams also there were some questions from the project delivery methods, right? So please follow those things. This area is important. Most of the time, your assignment also will align to this section. right? Normally I'm giving a scenario. Based on the scenario, I'm telling you to select most suitable project delivery method, right? So definitely you have to check and you have to identify most suitable project delivery methods, most suitable points, important points in the scenario. Right? Imagine I want to with this. Now you have know about the two procurement methods. No? Imagine I want now. Imagine my scenario is telling I want to complete this construction activities very quickly. Right? That's my requirement. Imagine like this, right? So I'm going with the first procurement method because it is a little bit quick than the second one. Likewise, I'm telling some requirement. Based on that, you have to select the most suitable project delivery method. That it will be your assignment actually for this module. Right. In the disadvantages, I can say architect and general contractor don't collaborate during the design phase, often result in the distractions and changes orders which the cash flow down and the project progresses. So this is the very important, there is a very important disadvantage in this procurement method. I have not highlighted it previously. Imagine now design part is doing by a company. B company is responsible for the construction part. There is a person as client between these two companies. Right? Design එක කරන එක තනියමම design එක කරගන්නවා. ඒක use කරලම contract එකම හදන්න හදනවා. Can you understand? There is no any interconnection between the design team and the contractor team. Right? But in here, all things are doing by the same company. There is an interconnection. The company එකේම division දෙකක මේක ගන්න. Design division and the construction division. They have interconnection. They all are working under the same company. But here, sometimes I don't know who was the designer. Right? I don't know what they're expecting from this kind of design. Right? I have no any idea about the design before starting the construction activity. Imagine I was the contractor, right? So this is the main issue in this procurement method. No any interconnection between design team and the construction team. That's why I told you, if I want to do any design change, first I have to contact my design team. Right? Again, I want to pay for them. I want to take the finalized decision. And I am as a client, I want to submit it to the contractor. Right? Sometimes they will do some, they can do some changes to the design with different area. But contractor don't know why they did like this. Right? So this is a very important disadvantage. Owner is responsible if there are problems with the design or drawing. Right? If there is an imagine now construction is ongoing. Right, the contractor is telling something like this. There is some issues with the foundation design. No, right, some details are not available. Right, that work design and construction details here not drawing with it. Otherwise, we can't start that work. Right, so your contractor is telling like this. There is no enough details on the drawings, not included specifications. So likewise, they're giving some complaints. Right, so as a client, I am the responsible person for this. Contract ඇවිල්ලා කියනවා නම් හරියට details දීලා නැහැ drawing එකේ. ඒ නිසා මට මේක construct කරන්න බෑ කියලා. එයා ඒක ඇවිල්ලා කියන්නේ client. He is coming and telling it to the client, not to the designer. Because they have no interconnection. So as a client, it is a very big headache to me. Again, I want to contact my design team and I'm telling it again to the design team. Right? මෙතන මේක detail නැලු ඒක නිසා construct කරන්න බෑ. Likewise, I'm complaining to them. Right? Again, they should revise the drawing again. They are doing some changes, so sometimes they can say how all the details are available in this drawing. Likewise, they can give some reasons for that. As a client, again, I have to pass this message to my contractor. Right? As a client, it is a big responsibility to me. Client කියන්නේ client මේ project එකේ client උනාට this is not the business of the client. Imagine I am going to construct my house. Yes, I know I am the owner of my house. හැබැයි මගේ ජීවිතේම ගේ හදන එක නෙමෙයි. I have to balance my work environment. I have to do my works also. In another side, I have to do the construct. I have to check my house progress also. Right? ඉතින් මේ මුළු project එකම මගේ හැමට headache එකක් වුණොත් ඒක success වෙන්නේ නැහැ as a client. මේ දෙපැත්තට පණිවිඩ මාරු කර කර මේක ලොකු headache එකක් වෙනවා එහෙම වුණොත්. ඒක disadvantage එකක් මේ project type එකේ තියෙනවා. Actually, for a small kind of project, this is applicable. I'm not telling this is not applicable for other projects, right? In lot of time in Sri Lanka also, we are following this design bid build procurement method, right? I do know in front of large scale projects, they show me a name board. Local projects වල ඉස්සරහා project entrance එකලා හරිය ගහලා තියෙනවා name board එකක්. In that name board, they mention in the designer, procurement type, client, contractor, project name, everything are visible in that document, in that name board. ගොඩක් ලාට අනිවාර්යෙන් name board එක තියෙනවා project එකක. In that name board, if you can visit a site, cited authority and power, right? You can visit it in front of the site, right? Read the board. Normally they mention in who is the designer, who is the contractor, what is this project name. Some important details that they are mentioning. If they have mentioned in Sri Lanka also, most of the time design part is doing by a different company, and the construction part is doing by the different company. Right? In most of the time, for large scale projects also, we are following this design bid build method. Right? So we are taking very specialized qualified people for the design part and another qualified again for the construction part. But anyway, some disadvantages are there. Lack of collaboration throughout the process will result in more conflicts, confusions, and disagreements between involved parties. So as I told you, it can create some agreements like I said. The third one is construction management at risk, CMAR. An offshoot of the DBB process. Actually, this is one of the development of the design bid procurement method. Its development. Right? In the DBB, we identified some disadvantages and issues in the project delivery method. So in here, in the construction management at risk procurement method, they come up with, they develop some mitigating methods. An offshoot of the DBB process, CMAR, takes a similar approach, but the owner hires a construction manager to oversee the project. In my last discussion in the previous slide, I told you if I work between a designer and a contractor, all are passing all the messages through me. It is a big headache to me. I have to handle my work environment and everything at the same time. I have to balance my project also, my housing construction works also. It's very difficult. It's a very, very difficult to handle like that. So because of that, in this third procurement method, they are introducing another part to the project. He is the construction manager. Now, imagine this is my design company. This is my construction company. I told you they have no interconnection between these two. Now I am introducing construction manager. This construction manager is overlooking between these two companies. He is the one who doing this interconnection. He or she is the one who doing this interconnection activity. Right? Actually, it is supporting to minimize some disadvantages that I mentioned in my last discussion. That I told you, there is no any interconnection between the two parties. But now here, there is a person as construction manager. That person is supporting us to maintain the interconnection. So the construction manager becomes the owner's representative, supporting every phase of the design to construction. This construction manager is representative the client. Then client and කලින් හිටියේ මේ දෙන්නගේ මැද්දට වෙලා client ඒකලු කරදරයක් වුණ නිසා client වෙනුවට කෙනෙක්ව දැම්ම මේ දෙන්නගේ මැද්දට. Right? He is representing the client. So the construction management calculates a guaranteed maximum price. Okay, like that. In here also there are some advantages and disadvantages. So advantages means owners can work directly with designers. Builders are part of the collaboration from the beginning, helping to develop more accurate budget expectations, speeding the project delivery. Owner can take more of the hand-off approach to manage. As disadvantages, there is no direct contact between design and contractor in this method also. In here also, there is an interconnection, right? But there is no any direct interconnection between design and the construction teams. අපි මේකෙදිත් කරන්නේ construction manager through තමයි pass කරන්නේ messages. දැන් මෙතන උනේ client වෙනුවට කෙනෙක්ව දාපු එක විතරයි. කොස්ම වෙලාවක directly client the design architect උයි contractor project manager උයි කතා කරන්නේ නැහැ. අපි යන්න ඕනේ මේ there is a gap between these two. Right? We are passing message to the construction manager should pass it to the designer. Again, designer should pass it to the construction manager should pass it to the contractor. So meaning the owner must bridge the gap to resolve the problems. Owner is responsible for the success of the design plan. Owner is the responsible for party to the project success. Finding trustworthy and experienced construction manager is essential. Right? You have to find a person, the trustworthy person and the qualified person. Because that introduced person, right, that selected person should handle the design part and the construction part both. Because of that, definitely we have to select well-experienced person. So those are some disadvantages because it is not an easy task. So if the owner will fail in this, the entire project could become a nightmare. That's mean, right? If you select a wrong person as the construction manager, as the client, so it's totally affected to the project progress because that person is handling construction part and the design part both. Fourth one, job order contracting, JOC. Known as an identified delivery, identifiability, quantity IDC, and the project delivery method, job order contracting is open-ended approach allowing multiple projects to fall under a single long-term contract. Now, imagine now doing a tendering process or something like that. You are selecting a contractor to the project. In this case, normally we are after selecting a contractor to the project, we are taking an agreement between two parties, and it is related to it is under that relevant project. Under project agreement sign karano. In here, in the JOC method, it's little bit different. Right? We are telling them to sign for the contract for a long-term period of time, not only for one project. If the project agreement sign long-term method. That is the job order contracting method. Sometime for another 2-3 projects. So instead of sending the individual project to the beginning process, owner gather bids from the contractors once and can then use their service as long as the contract lasts. Contractors agree upon their rates and delivery are listed in the catalog, making it easy to owners to choose the bidder and award a contract. Once under contract, the contractor will be called upon to fulfill tasks for the owner at any time along the way. Individual projects start out with the meetings between owner and contractors to determine scope and budget expectations. This method speeds up the procurement process from several months to just a few weeks, also reducing cost and administrative overheads. Right. Because now you are working for a long-term contract, that means sometimes we can work for a 2-3 project with the same contractor. That means definitely you can reduce some administration cost. There are some advantages and disadvantages. As the advantages, I can say time efficient and cost efficient, less administrative work, allow owners to complete many projects under the single contract. As a disadvantage, not ideal for a complex one-time construction project. Actually, it is not ideal for the one-time, that's complex one-time projects. Right? Because if that person created issues with us, we can't remove it because they are going under the long-term contract. So that is a big disadvantage in this process. Construction Management Multi-Prime, CMMP. It also looks like the DBP. It includes 3 project phases: design, bid, and build. But with CMMP, the owner established individual contracts with general and trades contractors for specific elements of the work, such as plumbing, architectural, and the electrical needed. The owner acts as a general contractor on the project, overseeing the plans and speeding the tracking responsibilities for the design details. Do you know, in the construction industry, especially in Sri Lanka also, we are working with a lot of subcontractors. Imagine now you are the contractor of this project. Right now you are the selected contractor of a relevant project. You are hiring different subcontractors to the project. I think I have mentioned it in the last week. For the plastering works, for the painting work, for the masonry works, for the plumbing works, right? For the excavations. Likewise, we are hiring different gangs to the project. Right? They all working under the main contractor. They all main contractor selections, not the client selections. They have almost select the main contractor. Client they are signing the contracts with the main contractor. Right? In here, in this procurement method, there is a small change to the system. In this method, client going to select all the subcontractors, and client is responsible for that. That's the difference. As advantages, I can highlight the owner has control over the entire project through the individual contracts with trades and contractors. Now you identified we are signing contract. The client signing contract with subcontractors, right? So that's mean the client have the authority to handle their subcontractors. In usual projects, the contractor is responsible to handle the project with the subcontractors. Sometimes the client don't have no idea about the selected subcontractor. But in this case, this is a little bit difficult. Your side in contract, the client side in contracts with subcontractors. No? So that means client have the power to handle the project because of course subcontractors like the client government, not with the contractor. There is no central coordination for the contractors, so the owner must play this role, right? That make a contract construction manager වගේ central system එකක් නෑ මේකේ. ඔක්කොම handle කරන්න ඕනේ client. So it is a disadvantage in this process. The many different contracts might lead to confusion of the lack of coordination between trades and the construction contractors. Overall, budget can be difficult to calculate, and all is because of the different contractors are going under the client's decisions, right? Under the same under the client, right? So those are some disadvantages and advantages. This is the next procurement method, project delivery method. It is integrated project delivery, IPD. One of the most popular never project delivery method. IPD is built on ideas of teamwork and shared responsibilities and pair well with the lean construction management approach to the project. With IPD, a single contract is established between owner, designer, and general contractor. When the contract is set up before the project begins, that means all contractors, subcontractors, and trades are in communication with the owner from the outset. The owner often set incentives for design and the construction teams with their aim of fostering the collaboration and goal alignment. In here also there are some advantages and disadvantages. As the advantages, I can say increased collaboration and teamwork between stakeholders. Project risk is shared equally among stakeholders. With the use of digital tools and term of methodology, so those are some advantages. Under the disadvantages, I can say this procurement method is still new and many traditional construction professionals are unfamiliar. Right, still it is new, because of that people are not familiar with this one. It also one of the disadvantage. Getting the contract right is essential for IPD's success, consuming more effort and time before the project begins. Owner must be prepared to anticipate whether the team members will look well together or clash. Right, these are some disadvantages and advantages in IDP procurement method. Right, in my discussion, I discussed about all these procurement methods. First, I discussed about the design with procurement method, and I told you design part and the construction part both are doing by the same company. Because of that, there are many disadvantages and advantages. And can you remember at that point when I started this project, I told you selection of procurement method, selection of project delivery method, it depends on the project type. Right, it depends on the project type. එක project වලදී design selection එක definitely it's different. එක project එකකට design build එක suitable වුණාට තව project එකකට ඒක suitable වෙන්නේ නැහැ. Because of that, it depends on the project type. That's why I told you, if I'm correct, in your assignment also, they are in the previous semester. Sorry, with the previous students also, we shared an assignment. In that assignment also, the same kind of question. It is for, that means you have to identify more suitable project delivery method based on the given scenario. You have to do a comparison. You have to collect a lot of data. Finally, you have to select more suitable one. That's the way. So we discuss about design bid procurement method, design bid build procurement method, CMAR procurement method. Contract managers are coming at that stage. Right, after that, job order contracting. I told you construction management multiplied in the previous one. We are signing for a long-term contract. Here we are the owner going to control all the stakeholders, and the integrated project delivery method. This is one of the new method. These are the procurement methods. This is a small discussion for the procurement method in the construction industry. So you have to learn about this one, study this one, right? Gather more details based on the discussed areas, right? Right, that's my end of one section. Next, new topic is the excavation. Right, this excavation is one of the very important part in our construction industry. Right, sometimes we have to do very deep excavations. Sometimes we are doing a small digging works. Right, but most of the time in our project, we have to go for a deep excavation. I will show you. Give me 1 second. Okay, I want to show you some excavation works in the construction industry.
Protective equipment. You'll see that using the right type of protection saves lives. Please be advised, the scenes you're about to see deal with deaths at construction sites and might be disturbing for some people. All scenes are based on true stories. 5 workers were putting a sewer pipe into the bottom of a trench with a ladder nearby to enter the trench. There was nothing in place to protect the workers inside the trench if the walls collapsed. While the workers were inside the trench, one side began to collapse. 2 workers were able to climb out using the ladder, but the other 3 workers were buried in the soil and unfortunately suffocated to death from the weight of the soil. Let's look at the events leading up to this tragic incident and see how it could have been prevented. Employers must follow OSHA rules to protect workers in trenches. However, here, the employer did not follow OSHA's rules, which led to these workers losing their lives. Let's go over the main points of OSHA's rules for trenches to see how to keep workers safe. All trenches must follow OSHA's rules. 1 cubic yard of soil can weigh as much as a car, nearly 3,000 pounds. So unless the trench is cut entirely into stable rock, protection against cave-ins must be used for all trenches more than 5 feet deep, or for any trench that shows signs of cave-in. Before workers can do any work in a trench, a competent person must conduct an inspection to identify and remove any potential hazards. A competent person is someone who can recognize hazards in the area and who has authority to take quick actions to eliminate the hazard, which may include temporarily stopping the work. Inspections must be performed at the start of every shift, after a rainstorm, or whenever conditions change. The competent person must also test the soil in a trench. OSHA requires at least 1 test by looking at the soil and at least 1 test by hand. If a person knows the soil types, they can pick the right protective system to keep workers safe when they're in trenches. OSHA classifies soil in a trench as stable rock, type A, type B, or type C soil. Stable rock is the safest soil for a trench. Type A is the next most stable, and then type B. And finally, type C soil is the least stable. It's important to remember that trenches can have different types of soil based on depth and climate conditions. The competent person can choose from different protective systems for a trench based on the types of soil found. For all trenches deeper than 5 feet deep, or for any trench that shows signs of cave-in, OSHA requires sloping, benching, shoring, or shielding to protect workers from cave-ins. Let's review each of these systems and then see how each one could be applied to the cave-in incident shown earlier. We'll look at sloping first. Sloping protects workers by cutting back the sides of the trench so the sides slant away from the trench. OSHA's rules identify the degree of slope allowed for each of the different soil types. When trenches are less than 20 feet deep, these are the basic maximum allowable slopes for each soil type. Stable rock can be vertical walls, but cannot be undercut. For type A soil, OSHA requires that the walls be sloped 9 inches out for every 1 foot of trench depth. For type B soil, OSHA requires that the walls be sloped 1 foot out for every 1 foot of trench depth. For type C soil, OSHA requires that the walls be sloped 18 inches out for every 1 foot of trench depth. It's important to note that this kind of sloping can only be used for trenches less than 20 feet deep. Any deeper, and the protection must be designed by a registered professional engineer. So now, let's look at the workers in the original scene who were stuck in the trench as it started to cave in. But this time, the soil has been classified as type B. The trench has been properly sloped, and the spoil pile is moved away from the edges of the trench. The trench walls are not caving in, and the workers are safe while they work. Now let's review the shoring type of protective system for trench workers. Shoring uses various support systems to prevent soil and the trench walls from moving. There are different kinds of shoring systems, but timber and aluminum hydraulic are the 2 basic types. Aluminum hydraulic cylinders are the most common type of shoring, and they are typically installed using spot bracing, plywood, or stacked methods. To install the shoring correctly, you must first determine the soil type. The type of soil and depth and width of the trench determine the maximum vertical and horizontal spacing used with the members of the shoring system. If we use our example of a 3-foot wide, 10-foot deep, 40-foot long trench in type B soil, the shoring system being installed would need to include 12 strong aluminum vertical shores, with 6 on each side of the trench. These shores, also called rails, will be connected by hydraulic cylinders every 8 feet along the length of the trench. A hand pump pressurizes the hydraulic cylinders until they fit tightly within the rails. Now that the shoring is in place, let's look again at the workers in the trench at the beginning of the video. As before, the workers are laying a sewer pipe into the bottom of a trench. But now the shoring system prevents the trench walls from caving in and keeps the workers safe. Sloping and shoring are ways to protect the sides of the trench so they don't cave in. Now let's talk about shielding, which is a way to protect the workers when they're inside the trench. Shielding involves using trench boxes, also known as trench shields, or other supports to protect workers inside a trench from collapsing soil if a cave-in occurs. The competent person should pick a trench box that is right for the soil type and all other site conditions. A trench box has 2 large plates, which are held apart by 4 horizontal cross members. These plates, or shields, must be between the sides of the trench and the work area. The shields are strong enough to protect workers inside from a soil collapse. The shields can be 2 feet above the bottom of the trench, as long as they can support the entire depth of the trench and there's no caving under or behind the shield. The top of the shield should extend at least 18 inches above the level of any materials that could cave into the trench. Trench boxes are typically used in open areas, but they can also be used with the sloping methods discussed earlier. So let's see how a trench box could have saved the workers that we saw at the beginning of the video. For our example, we'll assume that the workers are in a trench with type C soil and no sloping, but working inside a trench box. This time, as the workers lay the sewer pipe into the bottom of the trench, they are protected from any possible cave-ins. This example shows the importance of employers following OSHA's excavation standards to ensure that workers are provided with a safe workplace. These types of construction deaths are preventable. The trench cave-in prevention measures shown here save workers' lives. Use these protections on the job. It could be the difference between life and death. If you would like more information, contact OSHA at...
Right. It is about, I just wanted to show you something about safe excavation and why this excavation is important in the construction industry. That part is I have not completed by using that video. Actually, we have to discuss about the shoring part. Shoring and other things, right? Some safety things for this excavation. Right. So I'm not going to continue my discussion now because I need some time. That's why I shared the video to get an idea. And I'm not starting my discussion for the excavation part. I'm going to wind up my discussion from here. If you need any discussion support from my side, you can contact me through my email address, right? I think after next week, we can start our discussion for the assignment. And you can start your work on the assignment. Right. So any problem from your side? Right. Okay. So I'm going to wind up the session. Thank you very much for your participation. I'm appreciating student participation for the lectures. Thank you and have a good day.
Thank you, madam. Thank you.